What's up guys, Random Razor here with another tech video for you guys today, and today we are going to check out the OtterBox Symmetry Series 360 Elite Edition for the iPad Pro. So of course, without further ado, let's slice this open, check it out, and give you guys my quick in-depth review. So I've been using OtterBox's original Symmetry case for the iPad Pro for almost a year now, and as you can see, I'm still using it. It's one of my favorite cases I've reviewed so far for the iPads, and just because it combines the look of the Apple Folio case, but giving you much more protection. The Apple Folio case, or I think they just call it a folio, protects the back, but it doesn't protect anything for the sides, whereas the OtterBox here, it actually gives you a case that protects the back and the sides, something that the Apple one doesn't. So preserves that Apple-ish look with the folio style, but of course gives you much better protection, and I've been enjoying it for almost a year now. So it looks like OtterBox released either an updated version of this, or this is just like a newer, different model that you can choose from, the 360 Elite. This is, I believe, a dark gray. Here's a comparison with the black. So yeah, definitely a dark gray, which is pretty nice. Still same vinyl rubbery material that they have on the front here. And aside from the case, we have just a quick instruction guide on how this thing works, and that is pretty much it. Alright, so let's take a closer look at this before we put the iPad in. Pretty much very similar design to the original Symmetry case here. Same clear design on the back. The only difference is my back, I put a matte skin on it to protect the clear plastic, but this would normally be a clear glossy plastic like this new one here, if for those of you who are wondering. So the newest change I could already tell is on the original Symmetry case, you can see we have a large flap that protects the side here, but also gives you easy access to attach an Apple Pencil for those of you who use that. On this newer case though, you can see here OtterBox decided to omit the flap design and go with this new slide out mechanism that they have on this case. So I think the idea is that this is supposed to provide better protection than the flap, as for those of you who don't use an Apple Pencil, you can have side protection, and for those of you who do use an Apple Pencil, you can slide it out, but this will also give you kind of added protection for the Apple Pencil if anything hits it, but also it just creates a more of a pocket so that the Apple Pencil doesn't easily pop out. So going back to the original design here, like you can see, when you have this flap open, there's nothing really holding or keeping the Apple Pencil in place other than the magnet that's built into the iPad, so you can easily slide out or drop it or something. On the new iPad, once again, you can see here you got this side piece that helps keep that Apple Pencil a little bit more secured to the iPad. My only concern before I put the iPad on is you can see when this thing slides out, these plastic pieces move up and down, or side to side that is. And my only concern is that these plastic pieces rubbing against the back of the iPad when you're constantly sliding this thing in and out. If I look at this on an angle, it looks like the rest of this clear plastic is slightly higher than the gray plastic that is part of this sliding piece here. So I don't think it would, but it would have been a nice idea to place some sort of like microfiber lined material on top of this, just for that added security, to ensure that this doesn't scratch the iPad, these four plastic pieces that are attached to the case. Alright, let's install this case. I think the easiest way would be to slide this out so this can fit in a little bit better. I do have a back skin on the back of my iPad as well, which fit the other case, so this one should be no problem. Alright, so here's what the Symmetry Series 360 Elite looks like on the 11-inch iPad Pro. This dark gray matches really nicely with my space gray iPad. Anyways, taking a quick overview of this case, starting off with the front here, we do have this Apple smart cover-like design, just like the old model. It's got 3 panels. It's made of this soft, kind of like vinyl, rubbery type material. I like this stuff more than the Apple smart cover and Apple Folio case. I've had experience with those cases, and the rubber that Apple uses on them really likes to attract dust and dirt and everything, and just it all sticks to it. Whereas this material here, it doesn't attract it as badly, and it's far more easier to clean. So I definitely like the choice of material that OtterBox chose for the Symmetry lineup for the iPad Pro. Now, just like the Apple smart cover and folio case, when you take the flap off, it automatically turns the screen on. You can, of course, also use this case as a stand. Just got to get it magnetically locked in. It should stay in place, so that's pretty good. You can also use this to prop up the iPad in like a typing mode. You can also see the interior of the flap is lined with a super soft microfiber lined material. That kind of helps clean the screen when you push it down like this, but of course the soft material just keeps the screen from getting scratches. And then you have, again, 360 protection, hence the name of this case, because it does protect the display of the iPad. Now, when you have this case opened up to access your iPad, unlike the original Symmetry case, you do have protection all the way around the border of the iPad, including this side here, which is something that I kind of wish the other one provided when you have it opened. This case is also compatible with my tempered glass screen protector that I have on here. The one I'm using is from a company called Brando. No issues whatsoever. The rubber material does wrap around the entire border, as I already mentioned, but also lifts just above the display for added top protection. On the sides of the case, you have cutouts for all your stereo speakers, USB-C port, as well as covers for the volume button and power button, and they actually work extremely well. They feel like tactile buttons, and they work flawlessly, so nice little added detail there. I took a closer look at these button covers here, and they actually incorporate OtterBox's new button design, where the plastic button covers are actually separate pieces from the case. So they actually they work better, and they feel like actual buttons, and you get a better tactile feedback. Whereas on the older case here, the button covers, it's hard to tell in the video because they're so small, but these covers are just part of the case. They're just the same rubber material as the sides. They do work, but they don't work as nicely as this new button cover design that OtterBox has started to introduce on their cases. Taking a look at the back side here, you can see we have that same clear plastic design that shows off the color and look of your iPad. You got these two panels here which match pretty nicely. This of course is part of the folio flap. The other side is for your Apple Pencil holder. But yeah, it's a nice back, but it's clear plastic, so it will likely scratch pretty easily over time. Hence why I put a skin on my other one. You don't have to, but that's the downside with clear plastic. Otherwise, it does look nice. Alright, so it's been a few days since the first half of the video, and I have to say this is a pretty nice improvement over the original 360 Symmetry case from last year. Now, both these models are still available, so you can get whichever one you prefer. But I'm going to go through some things I do like about the newer model. So one of the first major improvements I like about the Elite Series model is the entire side here is now all protected with a nice thick piece of rubber. On the older model, it was protected when the case is closed, but when you open it up, you can see here the entire side is technically exposed. So as someone who doesn't use the Apple Pencil, this is certainly a nice addition to this Elite series that I do like. The second thing I like about this new case is on the original model, to access your iPad, you have to open up this flap and then this flap. Whereas on the new model, since there's no secondary flap, you just open up the main flap and you're set to go. So it saves an extra step. It's more of a convenience thing, but it saves you from opening up two flaps to access your iPad. The third thing I like about this case are the new and improved button covers. They carry over from some of OtterBox's new iPhone cases. They work really, really well. And the old model worked, but these ones here require less force for them to actuate. So it's, again, another convenience thing, but they're a lot easier to press. Aside from those three things I mentioned, they're relatively the same case. I want to say the sides of the newer case are a little bit more rigid versus the older model, which it didn't take much force for them to flick out. So you could argue it's more of a snug fit case. And I also did want to address a couple things. There's a few negative reviews on this newer case on OtterBox's website, and one of them I can definitely address for sure. A lot of people say it's difficult for the flap to open. I'm not sure why. Like, it seems to open relatively easy to me. I think what people are doing is they're trying to pry the flap open, like with their nails or fingers. The proper way to open a 3-panel cover like this, whether it's Apple or OtterBox, you just slide it over and it opens. It's that easy, that effortless. So I'm not sure why people aren't figuring that out, but it's a very easy cover to open up to access your iPad. The other negative point that some users have noted was this new Apple Pencil holder mechanism here. First off, it's definitely something that I question whether this will last as long as the flap on the original model. But the biggest thing that people have noted is this is a little bit more difficult to take your Apple Pencil in and out, because on the original model here, when you open the flap up, you can easily take your Apple Pencil because you have this big space here. There's no side walls or anything like that. You can just roll it out or kind of grasp it. But on this newer model, you have this big side piece that's in the way. So because of this large side piece, the only real way to take your Apple Pencil out is to kind of use your fingers and pry it from the top or the bottom, which can be a little bit finicky, especially since this mechanism wants to spring back and kind of push the Apple Pencil against the iPad. So I could see why a lot of people have noted that it's not the most Apple Pencil friendly design for a holder compared to the original model here. And also it doesn't really look as nice because you have this big Apple Pencil kind of sticking out here, whereas on the older case, your Apple Pencil is nicely wrapped around this this flap here, which also gave it more protection because the entire Apple Pencil was covered up with this flap versus being a little bit exposed on the side piece. So in the end, I actually recommend both these cases. For those of you with Apple Pencils, I recommend the original model, the 360 Symmetry, because I think this is a little bit more Apple Pencil friendly. But for those of you who don't use an Apple Pencil, I recommend the newer model. It's nice that you don't have to open a second flap to open this flap up, and you also get far better side protection with the newer case versus the older one where it technically leaves it exposed when you have the case open. In conclusion, guys, if you are in the market for the ultimate 360 protection case for your brand new 11-inch or 12-inch iPad Pro, you definitely can't go wrong with the new OtterBox Symmetry 360 Elite case for the iPad. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you all enjoyed the video. Any questions or comments about the Symmetry Case 360 Elite, let me know in the comment section there down below. Hit that like button, as always helps me out, and I'll see you all in the next video.